Welcome to Quantum Journeys, a podcast where we explore the fascinating intersections of neuroscience, hypnosis, quantum physics, and the metaphysical. In this mind-bending journey, we will delve into the depths of the human mind, exploring the extraordinary abilities that lie dormant within each of us. We'll uncover the hidden connections between our thoughts, our emotions, and our created realities, and discover how to harness these connections to alchemize a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. Hi, and welcome to the Quantum Journeys podcast, where we explore the intersectionality between hypnosis, multidimensional consciousness, quantum physics, and everything in between, which is really everything there is, right? I'm Kryssa Marie Bowman, founder of Quantum Journeys Hypnosis Academy. And today I have with me Dr. Susan Williams. She is a doctor of quantum counseling and advanced animal communication. She has just written a book called Quantum Prosperity, the Universal Equation for Financial Success. And upon asking her a little bit more about this, she says it's basically how to use quantum physics and the law of prosperity, like the finding where they intertwine, how to invoke the law of prosperity using quantum physics. And what a fascinating subject. So let's start with this book, because I think you said it only just became available yesterday. Yes?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. Very excited about it because I got the concept after reading Catherine Ponder's book about the law of prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a mentor who is very much into using all the universal laws, but he has incredible talents of being able to clear your body remotely and that type of thing. But he did a masterclass, and it was just an off-the-cuff mention of this book by Catherine Ponder. So I thought, well, it sounds very interesting. I'll go and read it. It's quite old now. I think it was written in the 60s, perhaps late 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But just reading it, and then with my background in quantum physics through my doctorate, it's an interesting thing to investigate. I
did not realize that you had a doctorate in quantum physics. That's fascinating.
That's all involved with the quantum counseling.
I see.
Yeah, which I would tell everyone is based on epigenetics. So I have the ability to counsel people to change their lifestyle so that using the quantum field, you can go down, change your DNA, cleanse your body, get rid of all the toxicity, change your the way you live your life, and the mental part of it as well, so that you improve on all levels. And that's what the quantum counseling is about.
That is fascinating. And there's some intersectionality between that and quantum journeys hypnosis too, because we work with things at the cellular, the DNA level, and consciousness. So that's a perfect blending that you have found.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I did the doctorate first, and then I was already a clinical hypnotherapist doing sport hypnotherapy. That my practice
that's right.
In its 5th year. But then when I saw the quantum journeys hypnosis, that just aligns so perfectly. So,
it's like we were meant to find each other or something. Yes, that is so fantastic.
So yes, I did that training, and just that's. I know I put on one of the Facebook groups that I think that the quantum journeys hypnosis, I call it my box of chocolates hypnosis, because just like Forrest Gump, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love that. I think I might have to start using that too, because oftentimes people ask me what is it? And I'm like, what is it not? Because that would be almost easier, right? So, but let's get back to this book. And don't give away all the secrets. I realize that you actually want to sell the book. So, but I am curious to just where did you come up with the concept of the law of prosperity and using quantum physics to bring that about?
It's just because everything goes down to the particles and how particles react. We have the quantum wave, which can't change until someone observes it, and then it must change. It collapses into the reality that the observer wants it to collapse into, pretty much. So when you're dealing with
which we know because of the double slit experiments. That's the famous one, right? But so you're taking this concept and applying it to prosperity and abundance. That's fascinating.
Yeah. So in the book, I just go through the different ways that the quantum field works, how it interacts with us on our in our dimension, and how we can use it to benefit ourselves for prosperity. Because in Catherine Ponder's book, she's a minister, a religious minister, and she tells how God absolutely wants all his children to be prosperous. Money isn't evil. She quotes one part from the Bible which has been taken in the wrong way. And it was specifically for a group of people who were following idolatry and not accepting that all the goodness comes from God. So I have to say I'm not a particularly religious person, but I'm just quoting what she was saying in the book, and it just makes sense. And she's very open in saying that one bit of the Bible, that one quote, has really skewed the way people think about money for centuries. Yeah. And she said, no, it's quite wrong. God wants everyone to be prosperous, have a very prosperous life, not just with money, but with their health, relationships, just the world in general. So
it is interesting how humans have taken that and perceived it as there being something very almost righteous about taking a vow of poverty, for example. Absolutely. Even if you're only doing it at the level of belief and not in your own life, and maybe even if it's at the level of subconscious belief, you're not even aware that you have this sort of hierarchical perception of money being evil. And then you're out there in the world trying to make money and wondering, like, why isn't this working for me? And then you peel back the layers and here you find, oh, look at that. There's this ingrained, religious concept that just got sort of misinterpreted is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because she quotes so many other disciples and other people throughout the Bible who are just proving that the messages they got from God. So go out and prosper.
Well, it would make sense that if there's a God or some sort of divine consciousness, that why would it create a life form to live on a planet, gifting it with that, and then seek to take all of the things away that would make that life actually enjoyable, right? That doesn't make any sense to me. What kind of God would do that? So I think that, I'm not a religious person at all, and I don't even tend to really use the word God or spirit or spirituality, but I do definitely feel that there is, and this is just from sort of empirical experiences as well as in my own hypnotherapy sessions, that there is a source consciousness of some sort, whatever that is. Yeah. It could be a collective, could be, anyway, a singularity of source consciousness that I think we all belong to in some way. But it's not tit for tat. It's not an eye for an eye. This singularity of consciousness seems to actually be, as far as I can tell, love. And so if you love, if you are love, if your entire, sort of mission and purpose is to send out these fragments of yourself to learn greater aspects of love, why would you then want them to take a vow of poverty or a vow of anything that makes life incredibly painful and difficult? I don't think you do. That's humans' interpretation, I guess, or misinterpretation. Yeah. And okay, I'll get off of my soapbox now because this is an interview about you. But this is something where we both totally come into alignment.
Yes. But we're talking about interpretation. So why wouldn't you want to interpret it in the positive way? and then use that to improve your life. And as she says, every time you improve your life, you're sending out these positive thoughts, vibrations to everyone. So you're not only improving your own life, because as we know with quantum physics, everything is connected. And it's instantly connected. There's no time lapse at all. So every time you have that positive thought and you're sending out love, and you're sending out positivity to I call it the multiverse rather than the universe.
And even if all you're doing is just aware of the impact that it has immediately with close friends, family, there's still that. And we can see that in real time, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So even if you take it like out of the realm of quantum physics, even though we do know now for sure that everything is energy. And so if there's anybody out there that is thinking we don't have this research, we do have this research. Yeah. Everything's energy. But even if we take it like back that up and go like, well, I want like 3D world examples, right? Well, we have the fact that we're a tribal species. And so in our immediate tribe, when one of us is having really positive emotions or really negative emotions, it affects everybody around us, right? And we've been there. We know this. Like when you walk into a room and there's, you know, Mr. Grumpykins, we tend to want to stay away from him. When we walk into a room and there's somebody that's like effervescent and bubbly, we tend to want to be around them.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So that was how I came up with the idea. I thought it's just the perfect meshing of it.
I love that.
Because if you look at the intent of religion in its best form, then it is to unify everyone. And what are we doing? Unified theory with quantum. So everything just slotted so perfectly. I thought, well, yes, I'll record that so I don't forget.
Well, and even research that's been done by like Dr. Lynn McTaggart into when you have a group of people all collectively focusing a thought on something or someone, there's measurable results. But as she was saying, and I think it was the Intention Experiment, that book of hers before the Power of Eight, or maybe it was the Power of Eight. I don't remember which one she said it in, but she was like, you know, there's a reason why churches stumbled upon the concept of doing this collectively, like everybody in a group. And they call it prayer, but prayer is really no different than, you know, collective intention, right? Bringing it all together. So,
that's right. Yes.
Yeah. And you've found that through the lens of science, and, you know, religion found it through a different lens. And I feel like we all somehow intrinsically know this. We know that one person's energy is great, but when you add another and another, it more than doubles each time. Like it becomes greater and greater and greater.
Yes, it is. It's exponential. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and there's that 1% concept, right? If 1% of the entire world's population is, you know, holding a singular thought, like meditating prayerfully on world peace, it has a measurable effect. We've got lots of experiments that prove this. So
we have, and
you're doing this,
and it's we're just doing it at the right time because it is able to be disseminated so easily now.
Oh yeah, social media, global news, yes.
Yeah. So the more that we send this out and the more people who find out about it and think, well, this could be something interesting, I'll investigate that, then that's that exponential thing. It just keeps growing and growing, which is amazing. And
and the flip side is that the negative stuff does that too.
Well, it does.
You know? So you have to pick and choose. Like they live side by side, so you can be like, you know what?
People are realizing, that we're being fooled by so many of these groups. Who want to send out that information for their own benefit.
Capitalizing on fear.
People are realizing because they're just it's getting beyond a joke now, the things that those in power are trying to make us believe.
And the documentaries that are more like mockumentaries, you know, where it's just 100% fear mongering. It's designed to like capture your attention and squeeze you into places where you feel like, oh my God, the world is ending, so that you're easier to manipulate.
Yeah.
But what you're saying and what I'm saying, I absolutely agree with this, is that the positive can spread just as quickly. And all we have to do is focus on it, and there we go.
And if you are using this positivity, you know that you're feeling yourself so much better. So why would you want to bring yourself down into those, you know, those depressive moods?
What's your theory on that? Because there are a lot of people that do seem to want to, even if they say they don't want to, they're still seeking that out. What's your theory on why there is such a large population of people that are actively seeking things that are anxiety producing and fear producing?
I think because so many of us were brought up in families with lack, with being unworthy, and as hypnotherapists, we know that period of life from before birth up to about 7 years old, that's when all this information is imprinted, because the young mind is just like a sponge, takes in all this. So if you're in a family situation or just in a community situation, as I know you were in a community situation as a youngster, this information just gets imprinted, and then that's what you return to. That's your comfort zone. That's what I was taught as a child.
It's familiar.
It is familiar, so that's what we always return to. Familiarity makes us feel comfortable, even though we've been comfortable in our discomfort.
And you've studied epigenetics, so there's that also. So it's not just how the first 7 years of our lives, we're going back multiple generations.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your maternal generation that way, your paternal generations that way, and they just go on to the dawn of time. Right. So everything in the past affects how you currently are. But at the same time, because of the study of epigenetics, we know that we can change our DNA. DNA is with all the genes, which can be switched on and off. Even if you have genes that are malfunctioning, you have plenty of others that can take over the job of the malfunctioning gene. You just need to change your lifestyle in a way that turns on the helpful genes, which can override the ones that need to be turned off.
And so what tools would you suggest a person use in order to bring about changes at the DNA level?
Physically, you should be detoxing. Heavy metals are a big problem because your body can't get rid of them unless you actively go in and use detox medications to get rid of them, because they just stick in your cells. That's the way they are. The chemical bonds just stick there. So you need to have the detox program to remove them. And
so is there a particular resource that you would suggest people look for because there's so many different detox programs out there? Yeah. Is there anyone in particular that you're like, oh, this one definitely works, or this one?
Yeah, I use Touchstone Essential products. They've got a zeolite detox and another one which combines a spray that you put in your mouth and some drops you have in water. But they're quite gentle. Some of the detoxes can be quite horrendous on your body because they're just so strong. This is gentle. This can be used on your kids right down to toddlers. It's fine for nursing mothers to be doing it. It won't affect their baby while they're drinking. You can use it on your pets. So it's nice and gentle.
I'll make sure we include the link to that. And you're not a spokesperson or anything, so just so everybody knows, but we'll include a link to that so people can find that.
That's very good. They have the two different ones. The zeolite, I think, is a bit stronger than the one that I use, but again, there's a lot of research into both the formulas that they use. So that's very good.
Do you work with sound? Oh, go ahead. Sorry. There's a slight delay in
no.
our interview. Well, you're in Australia and I'm in America. How many thousands of miles apart are we? It's kind of amazing that we can even have this interview.
Well, that's that. That's that instant connection, isn't it? We have a very
almost instant. There's a slight delay.
But yeah, that's the incredible thing about technology these days, that we can do this.
So okay, we've got the detox. What about sound frequencies as far as how to alter your DNA to repair your DNA? Is that something? Because that's something I've been really like going down the rabbit hole of for the past several months, or actually probably over a year now, is sound frequencies.
Yeah. And again, I'm not a spokesperson for it, but I use Holosync, which
can you spell that?
HOLOCSYNC.
Okay,
Holosync.
Got it.
Technology through Centrepoint Research, and I've been using that for 5 or 6 years. And that starts off with a very gentle, and you go through over a number of years all the different levels. So beautiful. Again, that's affecting your DNA because it's I can't remember the technology of it, but I do remember that listening to it, because it has frequencies that you can't actually hear. There's a track that you hear, and then the
cymatics, is that the word you're looking for, perhaps?
No, it's not. But again, you don't realise it's working. But I tell you what, when you start, after a few days, and the emotions start coming up, because that's what it does. It frees the emotions.
Starts to bring
wow.
So good to know that we should go in with that that caveat, that be prepared, that some emotions that might have been buried in there, trapped inside, are going to start to flow again, which is not always super pleasant, but is necessary. But I like that you emphasize that it's gentle, because there are a lot of modalities out there right now that seek to do the same sort of thing, but maybe not necessarily in a gentle way. I myself had some hypnosis a few years ago that was based on regression only. And it brought up some stuff that was repressed. It, honest to goodness, was absolutely repressed. And I didn't have the tools to handle them coming all the way to the surface like that. But they weren't coming up to the surface just naturally. They were being like grabbed and pulled out. And I spent about 6 months just really recovering from that. So that was not a gentle method. And even though I'm a hypnotherapy practitioner and trainer myself, that's not a method that I tend to use because of the effect that it had on me. And I'm not saying it would have that effect on everyone, but the fact that it did on me, I tend to not use that, But any of those non-gentle ways, I love that you
just don't know what people have been through and how much is just sitting there ready to explode. But I'm in the same situation that I was trained early on with the regression therapy, and I don't use that anymore because it was more trouble than it was worth.
I think also some people are wired to like the more invasive things. Like I have this one colleague who does breath work, and she does massage also, and she's great. She's great at what she does. But when she was working with me, it was really intense and like digging in there. And I was like, oh, I think maybe I need to go a little slower, a little softer. Like that's just, but for her, that works. And she loves it when it's like really getting in there and just digging in, and all the stuff. And it was too much for me. And even with breath work, certain like the, what is it called? Wim Hof is too much for me, but I like really gentle breath work. So I think, there's 8 billion people on the planet. We're all going to resonate with something different. So I think that some people, that more like intensive digging in there, is really going to be what works for them. I think for me, the gentle approach works a lot better. And I'm glad that we're on board with that.
Yeah, and the massage again, if you go to a good practitioner, that is another great step towards healing.
For repairing DNA.
Yeah, absolutely. if you go to a good practitioner, because we do hold emotions in our body.
Yeah.
We know that from parts work, but we also know that we have these odd pains. This is what my mentor is incredible at, doing the remote healing, because I had a terrible neck and a terrible lower back. He went in, and he's in Tasmania, I'm in Victoria, in Australia. Over the phone, he went in and cleared my neck and cleared my lower back.
So over the phone. So we're talking energy work, not just massage.
Oh, yeah. This was energy work.
That's amazing.
Over the phone. Yeah. And he didn't say anything. He just said, sit there, be calm while I do this. I could hear him breathing, and it just went. So
that's something that I've been fascinated with for a while. I've been following different energy workers like Charlie Goldsmith and Bill Bengston. And so I haven't gotten to the point where I'm great at doing it long distance like that, unless it's in a collective group situation. Then yes, because I have like a weekly healing group that's what we do. But one-on-one with the energy work, I find I still need to have the person in the room. But I am like just amazed when I run into people like your mentor or like Charlie Goldsmith, you know, people that can do that across vast distances.
Yeah.
Just sending their awareness or their consciousness into your body. And oh my gosh, it just blows my mind. And even though I know it's possible, it's magical. I mean, it is. I know that there's science behind it and we haven't figured it all out yet, but nonetheless, it's magical. I think humans are magical.
And when you get that physical response, I mean,
and you felt it. You felt it as he was doing this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know, that's whether that's mind over matter. People could say that, but
you know what? Does it matter? Mind over matter doesn't. I don't mind if it doesn't matter.
Don't matter. Yeah, that's right.
As long as it works, right? Because that's the proof is in the results.
And this is probably 18 months ago now. So, you know, he went in, cleared it, and that was it.
Wow.
And then it was another session I had with him. It was not that long after my mother had died, but he wasn't aware of that. And he was bringing forward these symbols and saying, there's something there. And I said, oh, my God, yes, that's my mother.
Oh, wow.
That's something he could not have any idea about. He wasn't even aware she died. So this stuff, it comes to challenge you.
This was just from him going into your body, and he was able to determine that. That's amazing. Over the phone. Wow.
Yeah, not even on a Zoom so that he could see my expression.
Right. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us about what would happen in a session with you. Like so if somebody calls you, hey, Dr. Sue, I'm having some issues with anxiety and some grief. I've lost a family member. I'm struggling to get out of the house because of anxiety. Like, what would sort of be next steps? Because I would love for you to get some sessions from this. Are you currently doing sessions right now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Good. My main practice is the sport hypnotherapy. But as a slight aside from that, I do have a program for women who have issues with horse riding. They've had a fall or an incident, something that's happened to them. So they're not riding, they want to get back into it. But also, all combined with that in this package is the health aspect, because they haven't been riding, they will have lost a certain amount of fitness. They will have lost, apart from their courage and their desire to ride, because the anxiety and fear is overriding it. But it's all packaged so I can get them back into it. And that all goes back to the quantum counselling, because I advise them on rebuilding their physical body while I help them with their mental body, because we do the hypnotherapy sessions. We go back and try and find out why. And it's amazing, because I've been dealing with equestrians now for 4.5 years. And the number of people who go back to somewhere around between 5 and 7 years old, when they've either had a nasty fall off a horse, because horsey people are horsey people, and goes right back to childhood, or their parents told them, you're hopeless. What, why do you do this? Whatever. And this is stuck in their brain. These are women between 30 and 70 years old.
Oh, wow.
And the majority go back to something like that, and it's something that's happened to them in their early childhood, and they've carried it with them all those years. We discover it, and they say, I didn't even remember that happening, but I know it did, because now that you've brought it forward, it's, oh, yeah, I know that. And then we clear it, and then we can move on from there and rebuild their confidence, rebuild their ability to go out and interact with their horse, because horses, being so sensitive, they pick up anything that the rider, their anxiety, their fear.
I often think anybody who doesn't believe in telepathy hasn't spent any time with horses or animals in general, but specifically horses, because it's so obvious with them that they respond immediately. Yeah,
that energy field, they can feel it.
You become one.
Yeah, and Heart Math Institute, they've done the investigation as well, that the horse can sense the rider's heartbeat from so many meters away.
That's beautiful.
I mean, it all goes back to science. It's not totally woo-woo. People think it is a bit woo-woo.
Well, you know what? Woo is just phenomenon that science hasn't yet had the tools to measure and quantify. So I feel like there's, in the realm of woo, there's less and less actual woo, because we're learning more and more. Yes. And so we're replacing what people think of as woo-woo with actual evidence-based, empirical, quantifiable, measurable science. So yeah,
absolutely. And then,
which is one of the reasons I tend not to use the word spirit or spirituality in my work so much, because I don't want it to be inaccessible to science-minded people.
Yeah,
it's absolutely accessible. So yeah.
Oh, well, Einstein said it was woo, didn't he?
He did. Yes. Yes. Spooky action at a distance. Spooky. That's pretty woo. Yes. Spooky. Yes.
So I go to the absolute expert in the physics field. Yes. So there is that aspect of it that even he admitted was there, the spookiness of it. But what was I going to say about the combined with the hypnotherapy that I do for these sports people, I combine that with NLP. So while their mind is...
And for people who don't know what that is, NLP.
Neuro-linguistic programming, which is putting in positive messages that certain things will trigger, like with my horse riders. As they get on, I say, focus between the horse's ears. You will see a spot there. And when you see that spot, you'll relax, you'll do this and do that. So that every time they get on the horse, they look at that spot and they go, right, now I'm in riding mode. Right. And I do similar things with the other sports people for the basketball. You'll see the net, the hoop, and the hoop will be 1 metre wide, so that every time you go for the free throws, the ball will go exactly in the middle of this huge hoop. So it's just, that's things cool. like that will trigger the positive responses.
So you're getting them into a flow state using NLP, which is a type of hypnosis, and getting them into a flow state so that they're focused on that thing happening, but in a very relaxed, easy manner. Like, of course it's going to happen, which also sort of brings in a little bit of the quantum-y stuff, right? Because we're like, we're already in that future moment. And so how could it not happen?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really effective. And especially in the sports where you have that repetitive thing, like you're always going to be going for a goal in basketball. Golf, you're always going to be trying to get the ball in the hole. These things, you can program these positive ways of doing the thing. It's and when they're in hypnosis and their mind is open to the positive suggestions, that's the perfect time to be installing the NLP.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it all works really well for the sports people.
Well, your sports clients are very fortunate to have you available to them.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I was wondering, how does that tie in with the Doctor of Quantum Counseling and the Quantum Journeys hypnosis that you do? But you explained that beautifully, that, as you're coming back to a place of almost like being comfortable in your body again after
Yeah.
a fall or some sort of trauma, that's where
Yeah.
you would bring those elements in to help them to repair beliefs, as well as all the way down to the cellular level, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's part of the law of prosperity, is you need to create a vacuum so that the prosperity can move into it. So,
interesting.
so you do the hypnosis to remove that negativity from whenever it happened,
To create that open space.
we call it, but remove that creates a vacuum. Then you can allow the positivity to move in. So it's not only for the law of prosperity, it's for anything where you need to fill something with positivity, get rid of the old negative stuff that you don't need anymore, and then build on this positivity, fill the space, and then you can move on and remove more of the negative once you realize that you can do it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
So it does, as you say, it does all tie in.
So I would like to know, how did you end up going down this path? Let's say, young Sue Williams in her 20s, 30s, whatever, like, what caused you to go, like, I think this is what I want to do with my life?
Well, I have looked back, and they say that what you like the most when you're a child is the path you'll take. Like, if
I've heard that too. Like 7 years old is like the
Well, obviously I was a horsey person back then, and that stayed with me. But
still what you're doing now.
More with the riding than helping people. But yeah, I never knew what I wanted to do. No idea. I went to career counsellors, had no idea. Through my life, I've been in just a series of jobs that have paid the bills, but they haven't been what I've wanted to do. And then for 26 years, I've worked for the Department of Education as a business manager.
Oh, wow.
And again, it was a great job. The school that I have been working in is a residential camp for grade 5 and 6 kids. So I've been there for 21 years, and fabulous environment to be in. But again, it's that thing, there's more. This isn't what you're meant to do. And then when I got to about 60 years old, I was introduced to mindfulness through my job. And, okay, there's something about this that's attracting me. So I did training, and that became a master mindfulness practitioner. And then just one thing after another, you go down one rabbit hole, you go down another.
Yes.
And ended up with the hypnosis just as a logical progression from the mindfulness. So I did the training for the hypnosis, and it's all gone on from there. And then I had the hypnosis first, and then got into the quantum counselling, again, just as an aside. You find out these things when you're ready to find out about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've experienced it myself. So it's not even like I believe in that. Like, I know that to be true. As soon as the next level is ready to be revealed, there it is. What a fascinating story. That's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And I think the quantum journeys as well, they were another step along that path.
Well, and it seems like it ties in so perfectly with what you were already doing, that it just sort of like dovetailed right in there,
Yeah, because the sport hypnotherapy is, I suppose, if hypnosis can be mainstream, it's more mainstream.
Right. Yeah.
But then I've got this whole other way of offering hypnosis to people now, because the quantum journeys is so different to what I do with my daily practice. So,
Well, and what's interesting, this is actually a conversation that I was just having earlier today on one of the social media platforms with somebody, but it was somebody saying like, I'm really curious about all this stuff, but I worry how my current clientele and, um, peers would react if suddenly I started talking about this woo-woo stuff. And my response was, well, it's not like learning this takes away what you already know. It just builds upon it. It's not like if you are doing all of this more traditional, hypnotic work, change work, and then you learn these other tools at the quantum woo-woo level. It's not like somehow this negates that. It builds upon it. And I don't think that anybody is going to, and if they do, then maybe they're not the right client for you. I don't know. But I feel like it's all in how the language you use, if anybody were to say like, oh, well, I really liked you before you became more educated and knowledgeable. I think now I have to not trust you anymore because you went and got more education in a direction that I don't agree with. Like, who's gonna do that?
That's right. But again, I'm just thinking now, because we've got the Temple of Healing.
Yes.
That just melds again with the quantum counseling.
Yeah, and I was so again, like when you're ready to find something, it just appears. I had run into a hypnosis trainer, alchemical hypnosis is his thing, David Quigley, on Facebook. And I was like, hey, I've been kind of like peripherally like involved, like I've seen you around, but he had this class coming up and I was like, I'm feeling drawn to take this class. I wasn't feeling drawn towards his academy or even him really, but I was very drawn towards this one class for some reason. I couldn't even explain it. I was like, okay, intuitively, I need to take this class. And in this class, there was a whole bunch of stuff, but one day, briefly, we touched upon this concept of the Temple of Healing. And the class was 3 days long. Coming away from it, that's the one thing that I really remembered because I think that was the thing that I was supposed to take the class for, And so I started playing around with it in sessions. I've changed it quite a bit, but the concept of the Temple of Healing, I do want to give credit where credit's due. It comes from David Quigley with alchemical hypnosis. But it has become something different in quantum journeys hypnosis. But yeah, that was one of those things where I was missing something. I was doing all these sessions and sort of letting the client lead me, but there was a missing component, a missing piece. And as soon as the Temple of Healing and the inner healer like made itself known to me, I was like, there it is. That's that thing. That's what we needed. And then you took it. It's like a little gear that goes into the machinery and now the wheel turns.
That's right.
Yeah. It was perfect.
Yes. So again, you can use that to go through all the foods, as you know.
Yes.
All the foods that you shouldn't be eating that are affecting your body adversely. So you get rid of the heavy metals, then you nourish it and you have the organic food whenever you can. And intuitively, if you're using the Temple of Healing, you can find out exactly what you shouldn't be eating, which is usually what you really, really think you want to eat.
Right. Usually the things that we're craving, which is coming from what was it? Something like, I can't remember what the percentage was, but we have a high percentage, higher than I was surprised by this, a high percentage of cellular activity within our bodies that's not actually ours. So like parasites, fungus, all these things, microbes of various forms, enzymes, things that are not like endemic to our bodies, but they nonetheless need to be in balance with us. They help things work. Yeah. Sometimes there's things in there that should not be there. So who's to say that when we're craving these bad foods, it's even us? It might be some parasite that is in our body or some, candida apparently can cause people to crave like cheese and beer and yeasty
sugar
stuff, right?
So and many of those parasites live on sugar. So they're wanting you to just keep eating that chocolate.
Yeah. And so here we go around thinking like, well, if we shame ourselves enough to not want these, that's going to work. Well, I don't think that these little parasites and fungal spores care about our shame so much. If anything, maybe it like feeds them, So detox and treat the vessel with kindness and honor, right? The vessel being the body.
Yes.
And you can't go wrong.
And the meditation,
Yes.
that whole stuff. I mean, I think now, because I grew up through the time of the Beatles in the 60s, and with the transcendental meditation and all that sort of thing, because my parents obviously thought, stop that, that's evil, that's the devil coming through in this music and so on. But you think back now, well, they were on to something quite revolutionary, because that was spread to so many people back then that were totally unaware of it outside the Christian religion. I grew up obviously in a Christian country at that stage. We had the White Australia policy, the whole thing. But it was so different. Now you look back and you think, oh, wow. They're just using, not necessarily that I'm advocating using transcendental drugs, but they were searching for something outside of themselves. And it was so revolutionary when you look back, because people are using it.
Well, and now it's just talked about like, psilocybin, no big deal, right? Or I went on an ayahuasca. Like, I've seen businessmen in two-piece suits with a tie tell me, I went on an ayahuasca ceremony 6 weeks ago. And I'm just like, wow, I would not have guessed that, But, so many things have changed. Actually, something that you said earlier in the podcast, when you were talking about how, you had these jobs and you were just doing the jobs because that's what paid the bills. And they weren't bad jobs, but they weren't where you felt like there's still something that I should be doing, like something's missing. 50 years ago, I don't think very many people thought that way. They just felt grateful to have a job, even if it was a job they didn't like. It didn't occur to them that they could have a job that they actually were passionate about, except maybe the outliers that were like the artists and the musicians, right? The actors. But I think mainstream society, it didn't even occur to them that there was any other way of being. And now it's completely the opposite. Now it's like people are not willing to work a job unless they get something out of it more than just a paycheck. They're just not willing, But
looking back, I think that's why I didn't know what I wanted to do, because what I'm able to do now just wasn't there.
Right.
You couldn't go to the career counsellor and they would say, oh, you're suited to be a hypnotherapist and to do quantum counselling. And okay.
That wasn't even a thing.
You could be a nurse, a teacher, a secretary.
If you were a female, if you are a male, there might be a few more options. You could be an astronomer, you could be a doctor. Females were pretty limited, yes. And it's fascinating. I remember also, I've been a huge science fiction fan. I think since I was 12, I stumbled upon my very first Heinlein book, Robert Heinlein. And I love fantasy too, but mostly science fiction. Anyway, and I remember the concept of there being AI. And I was looking forward to the day that AI could take over all of the menial tasks so the humans could get to the business of creating art and music and, all these beautiful things. And then so AI comes about and somehow or another it's flipped. Like the humans are still doing the menial tasks, but the AI is creating the art. Like, wait a minute. This is supposed to be the other way around. So I do use AI sometimes, but I don't use it for that. I use it for can you please proofread this thing or stuff like that. But it's just funny how 50 years ago, 30 years ago, 20, could we have imagined that 2024 would be what it is now? I thought we would have flying cars before we had, some of the other stuff that we actually have going on now.
But looking back to my favourite TV show when I was really little, I mean, we got TV here in 56, and my father actually worked for Pi, which was one of the big technology companies at the time. So we had a TV in our home when no one else did, because he was testing it for the business he worked for. And once it got a bit more established, my favourite TV show was A for Andromeda, which was early science fiction. And I would just be glued to the TV. I was probably about 5, maybe.
Wow.
I knew nothing about anything. But this show just drew me in, and it was all computers. And
well, I have another podcast interviewee who would say that is a suggestion that perhaps you're a starseed, Dr. Sue. I haven't had her on yet, but I know she's coming, and so I'm going to ask her about that. Like, do starseeds being, for those who aren't familiar, is the concept of a consciousness that comes from somewhere other than Earth that decides to take on Earth life cycles or lifetimes. Anyway, so I'm going to ask her. I'm going to be like, do you think that starseeds know early on? Do they tend to be really attracted to things like sci-fi?
I even call my doll Andromeda. And people, what the heck is that? Instead of Betty or Jane or something.
Is Andromeda. That's great. That's great. I love that. Wow. Well, it's been a wonderful 45 minutes or so. I do want to ask, as we wrap up, what would be the best way to reach you, to get in touch with you? Also, do you have any programs coming up? And then as far as the book goes, you said you were gonna give a link, because we didn't end up talking about that so much. So if you want to spend like a couple minutes talking more about the book, I'm totally open to that. I think people would want to know.
That's okay. I'll put a link on the website for the book, and then people can find out more about it there rather than try and describe it now, because it's a bit involved. But my main website is sporthypnotherapy.com. So not sports, but sporthypnotherapy.com. And then on that site, it gives links to other things that I do as well. So,
and what's the title of the book again, so people can look it up?
Yep. Let me tell you exactly what it is. It is Quantum Prosperity, the Universal Equation for Financial Success.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And I look forward to having a follow-up interview with you at some point. Let's wait till this book comes out and you've got some referrals and some reviews on it and everything, because I have a feeling it's going to make a pretty big splash.
And I've got 2 more to come. It's actually a trilogy, so there are 2 more on other subjects, but all involve the quantum, how it affects different areas of our lives.
That is exciting. That is exciting. I'm just, and it's also such an honor to have you as a student / graduate now of quantum hypnosis.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how I found out about you. And I was like, wow, this woman is amazing. This whole like quantum counseling thing and everything that you're doing with, equine. We didn't even really talk a whole lot about that either, did we? The animal communication. No. I don't want to like cut us too short. I just know we're reaching the top of the hour, but I would like, if you have just 5 minutes, like talk a little bit about that, about the animal
communication.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
What does that entail?
Doing it with a lady from South Australia who's been doing it for a very long time, and she's known that she has been able to communicate not just with the animals, but as you have said in the past, with everything that has a consciousness. She communicates with the plants and all the rest of it as well.
I haven't outed myself on the podcast yet as being able to communicate with trees, but that's okay. You can out me. I'm sure it'll come out eventually. But yes, I can communicate with cats and trees and money. That was an interesting consciousness to communicate with. But anyway, yeah. We'll have to talk about that. You and I. We can
see now. You can see now why you can communicate with the money.
What do you mean? No. Go back. What do you mean?
She has been an amazing teacher, and being in a group of other people, women, no men in the group, doing the animal communication. But we all have different ways of communicating, and I just have to be really aware, because if I'm talking to an animal, it'll just go bam, and if I miss it, then I've missed out on a lot of the conversation with the animal. Other ladies in the group feel it through their body. I don't feel it so much. I just get this thought that comes straight away.
Is it visual or more cognitive, or how do you receive it?
It's cognitive it's actually like their thought is in my head, so if they're in pain, that will lead me, rather than seeing the spot on the body, which some of the other women do.
Okay.
It'll lead me to where the pain is. So they'll tell me where it is, and then I can go and look. And it's just amazing, because I'll get it from my horses in the paddock. I'll go down, and one will have a sore leg. And it wasn't sore the last time I saw the horse, but the it's gone into my head. So I'll go and
I love that you prefaced this by saying that everybody has a different way of communicating, because that is so true. That's why I was asking, how do you receive it? Because I'm still pretty new at receiving it, believe it or not. Like it's only been a couple of years, but I don't necessarily have to tune in. It just happens. But when it happens, I get the fully formed thought just cognitively goes doink. But I've talked to other people who they will like get a visual, like the thought that the animal is having will just jump from the animal's mind to their mind. So like if they want to go on a walk, suddenly they'll picture their dog on a walk and be like, oh, you want to go on a walk, right? And so yours is their thought form, but maybe not visual, more just like directing you to what is going on with them. I love that we all have such different, unique ways of receiving communication.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always a little jealous of the people who have other methods that I don't have. Not jealous in the true sense, but I'm just like, I want to have that one too, you know? Not that I'm not grateful for what I do have, but yeah. That's...
One of the ladies in our group has a past dog who comes as a helper. And this dog brings in thoughts and feelings from other animals, and is sort of like the conduit between the woman and the animal she's communicating with. And I think, beautiful. What a wonderful thing if you could have that. But the other
I actually have an interview, a podcast interview with another woman, Jess Marion, who was talking about something similar. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but she has a dog who had passed away that is like her companion on the other side now, in a way, like a pseudo spirit guide. I don't like to use that word because I don't like labels, but is there to communicate with her now. And here you are bringing it up again. And I had never even like, what an interesting concept.
Oh, but this dog, I was going to say something else, but just on that topic.
Go ahead, sorry.
This dog has brought forward information. It was something to do with her area. They were going around spraying fire ants. And this dog came through to the woman and said, be very careful, because these chemicals are going to make you and your animals sick. And she'd had already a feeling that these chemicals were doing something. But this dog came through. She didn't realise it was the chemicals. Right. She just knew that they were spraying in the area, and the dog came through and said, be very careful, because this is going to adversely affect you and the other animals on your farm.
Wow.
And she had not made the connection.
That's incredible.
Until this thought came to her from this little
dog.
That
dog saved her and all of these other animals on her farm. And probably the plants and all kinds of the whole ecosystem. Yeah. That's amazing.
Because it was being done by local government. So the residents had no control over what was happening.
And probably weren't even informed.
No. But once she realised, then she did the investigation, because she didn't know about the spraying. I'm probably not telling it in the correct order.
No, but I mean, just like that's such a beautiful, the concept that our unseen allies, I like that better than spirit guides, our unseen allies can actually save our lives in these ways. And I feel like there's a seen ally that's hiding behind a filter right there. Oh, it went from unseen to seen, just like that. So for the people who are listening to the podcast, Dr. Sue's dog was coming up, but she has a Zoom filter on, so I couldn't see the dog. And now all of a sudden I could see the dog. So it went perfect timing. Perfect timing. We're talking about unseen allies, and then there it is.
We were talking about the dogs. Yes, we were off now.
We were talking about you, baby. Oh,
Yeah.
what a sweetheart. What a sweetheart. Well, thank you so much. This has been an absolute honor and a pleasure. And I look forward to having a follow-up interview with you, maybe 6 months from now or something, and we can sort of catch up again. You're just a fascinating person. I love your story of how you came into all of this, and then, the different methods that you're using and how they all kind of segue, from one to the next. And anyway, just beautiful story. Thank you so much.
It's been an honor for me to be on your podcast. It's been just amazing. We could talk forever, I think, but yes, we could. More
I don't think we'll be boring them. They can always tune us out if they want to. They don't. We're not making them stick around. There's no guns to anybody's head. But no, I have to wrap it up now because I have another thing happening too. But I could talk to you forever. I absolutely could talk to you for forever and ever. This could easily be a 2-parter. So let's make it that. Let's make it a 2-parter. We'll just pick up the second part in a few months.
Yeah, for sure. I'd really love to do that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Sue Williams. You've been an absolute pleasure to chat with. I will make sure that the listeners and watchers get all of the links that we had talked about, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Kryssa. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, my intrepid travelers. Did that last episode blow your mind? We journeyed deep into the intersection of quantum healing, the science of consciousness, hypnosis, and the metaphysical. And let's just say reality isn't always quite what it seems, is it? But fear not, there is much more to come. This is only just the beginning. Quantum Journeys podcast is your passport to mind-bending adventures where we push the boundaries of what is possible. So stay curious, stay open, and remember the power to change everything lies right there within you. We'll meet again soon on the Quantum Frontier. This is Kryssa Marie Bowman, your Quantum Journeys podcast host.